Well, that'll do it. That is a wrap on the New York Jets preseason as Gang Green drops a decision to the Philadelphia Eagles 19-17. At least they made it interesting. We saw a little bit of scoring, which early on it didn't look like that was going to be the case. So for those who tuned in, they got a little treat. They got a decent football game, yes. There was some sloppiness, of course, as you would expect, but there were some guys who helped their case in making this team. And there were some guys who didn't really help themselves in trying to make this team. Let's start off. By the way, I'm Glenn Naughton with Jet Nation Radio, jetnation.com. Be sure to log into jetnation.com where you can register and become a part of what is the most active Jets message board on the web. And let me know, I'm sure you will, how my audio is. We went live before the game, and the audio was atrocious. I went right in and just deleted the episode. It was inaudible. So I apologize for that. Deleted a ton of files off my computer, almost 10,000 college football highlights, deleted all of those. And hopefully that'll have us running a bit more smoothly. If not, somebody's buying a new laptop this week. So, first things first, a guy we said before the game absolutely had to make an impression because his roster spot hanging by a string, and he did nothing. Malachi Corley. Safe to say Malachi Corley is gone. And an interesting story just came out a few minutes ago. I saw the retweet from our good friend Scott Mason. He then messaged it to me in the event I missed it, I would assume. And I'm just double checking myself here. No catch it for Malachi Corley. I thought that was the case. So here's this tweet that went out a little while ago via Connor Hughes. So I didn't see this from Connor. I saw it from JPA football, which I don't know what that is, but claiming that when the Jets trade when Devontae Adams was traded to the Jets last season, Adams offered Malachi Corley $20,000 for the number 17. Corley said no and countered, asking for $117,000. Corley was a rookie, of course, we know that. He also reportedly didn't want to play special teams because he thought he should be a starting receiver. He's now not expected to even make the team. That's what it's looking like, folks. And one thing about Malachi Corley, in his what looks like will be a very short time with the New York Jets, the thing that jumped out to me most about him, or the most memorable moment, wasn't the dropped non-touchdown, the play where he finally got on the field, could have had a touchdown, dropped the ball before getting in the end zone. It was his reaction after the game when asked if he regretted it, or if he felt stupid, or however it was phrased. And he showed like no remorse. He was like, "No, these things happen, whatever." And I don't remember exactly what he said. It was as if he didn't care. And I thought, wow. And look, I love the player out of Western Kentucky. Not going to rewrite history on that. I said it in the last show, although I did delete that. But either way, I said prior to the draft, I was like, give me Bowers and Corley. Those two guys can ball. Those guys can make plays after the catch. And Corley might be able to do that. But it seems Corley hasn't really done much to endear himself to the coaches, possibly his teammates. There was a video earlier that went out, and I'm not making a big deal. I want people to differentiate here. I don't care that he was dancing and having a good time. But Garrett Wilson went like live. I think it was Instagram, Twitter. I don't know what it was. But Garrett Wilson went live from the Jets locker room, just being silly, dancing, whatever. And it looks, I'm guessing Corley's locker is right next to his, because Corley starts dancing too, like coming into the picture and like having a good old time. And I'm watching that thinking, I don't care that you're enjoying yourself, but you're about to get cut. Like, I couldn't imagine being in his shoes and being like, yeah, everything's cool. I'm just gonna, act like I'm not about to lose my job. Dude, I would be so stressed. And like, give me the playbook. Give me a coach to talk to. Let me find out what I got to do to make this team. What can I do? I wouldn't be like, hey, what are my teammates up to? Oh, I'm gonna go over there and play around. But again, that's just me. To each his own. But that really struck me. I was like, wow, if I'm a head coach and I see that, I'm like, wow, I could be wrong, but I'm assuming at some point they've sent him the message that he needs to get his act together if he wants to make the team. Or maybe they haven't. Sometimes you just leave someone to figure it out on their own. Like, hey, if you're not smart enough to realize that you got some work to do, then we're not going to be the ones to tell you. So whatever it may be, if I had to guess, I would say Corley is gone. That receiver room still very interesting. You've got some guys who deserve a roster spot. Yair in the chat. How we doing, Yair? Says checked in and out, but Brandon Smith should make this roster. A lot of people have said that. A lot of people have said Jamal Pritchett should make the roster. I'm one of them. A lot of people have said Quentin Skinner should make the roster. I'm one of them. And look, I know I like the UDFAs, but these guys, and they're very different players. Obviously, they both really bring something. With Smith, it's more the consistency. He's got good hands. But with Pritchett, I think he's going to be a factor with the ball in his hands, being able to, as I tweeted out earlier, he's the type of guy who's going to be able to make something out of nothing. Hit him on a swing or a screen, like he's going to make guys miss. I pointed this out when we saw him do it in the first preseason game against Green Bay when he made 3 defenders miss. He was short gainer, quick hitter, short gain, but you kind of, as the catch was made, you can see you can see the play and think, oh, this will be nothing. Like you can see a path to it being no gain or a yard. And he ends up getting 7-8 yards. You're like, all right, not a huge gain, but that's the difference between 2nd and 3 and 2nd and 9, right? So that's a big deal. Quentin Skinner, of course, has the size, caught everything tonight. Did he have a drop? I know there was an overthrow. I don't think he had a drop. I know Smith had a drop. Kuntz had a drop, maybe 2. I think he's on his way out. So let's see. Yep, Yair says, honestly, don't think he cares. Talking about Corley. Knows he'll get picked up. That's probably true too. Maybe he's thinking of this thing like, I'll go to a team where I'm wanted and I feel like I'll play right away. So I think he's gone. I think his days as a New York Jet are over. Yair says he likes Pritchett better than Kini Nwangu. I'm gonna go with Nwangu. He's as the proven guy, but I think Pritchett's gonna be really good too. So I don't think you would be, I think you'd be fine with either one of those guys back there. That's right. Corley did have a return tonight. I'm sitting here thinking, when did he touch the ball? They had him back and he returned a kick. But let's go over this now. So the Jets lose 19-17. Finished the preseason 1-2. Not a huge deal. A win would have been nice. A last second, somebody make a play would have been nice. But that was not to be. Of the 2 quarterbacks, Brady Cook infinitely better than Adrian Martinez. Adrian Martinez threw 1 pick, should have thrown 2 easy. But the thing with Martinez, to me, he's a guy who played 4 or 5 years in college. He played in the UFL. He's got a ton more experience than Brady Cook. And Cook threw an interception too. But you see Cook's interception, the defender made a play. Like, it was a really nice play by the defender. That's what was needed to make the interception. Whereas with Martinez, he threw the ball right into the defender's hands, having earlier in the game done an even worse job, not seeing the middle linebacker right over the middle and trying to hit, I believe it was a tight end, receiver, whoever it was, who was one-on-one, but trying to sneak in behind the backer. And Martinez just put it right in the linebacker's hands, and he drops it. And it's one of those plays you look at and you just, literally, you're just thinking, what is he seeing there? What is he looking at that he doesn't see the 6'4" or 3 or 2 or whatever human being standing 10 feet in front of him who has arms, and you literally throw it right to him. So he caught a break. The linebacker dropped it, but that was a bad play by Martinez. Not a good day for him. 7 for 13, 86 yards. 1 pick, should have been 2. Cook, as I said, 13 out of 19, no touchdowns, 1 pick as well. On the ground, it was a Kini Nwangu show early on. The Jets gave him plenty of run in the first quarter. He finishes up with 6 for 29. Donovan Edwards, 9 for 26, did score a touchdown. And he had a couple more plays. We saw the same thing last week where he's wrapped up before he takes the first step after the handoff. So not the greatest blocking. Lawrence Toafili, nice to see him make a play. He had 7 for 38, including a touchdown run with some decent blocks from Carter Warren and Cole Laval on the right side. And Brady Cook ran it twice for 13. Martinez once for 13. Arian Smith took it once on an end around, 1 for 10. Jamal Pritchett, the guy who we mentioned, who, again, I put him on the roster. Roster the guy. Carry 7 receivers. I don't care. You need receivers, and you need to develop some receivers. Carry 7. Jamal Pritchett, he had 4 for 54. Brandon Smith went 3 for 42. Smith did have a drop on a very catchable ball. Quentin Skinner, 3 for 40. Another big play for him on a really nice ball from Brady Cook, 27-yarder. Dymere Miller, I think, if I'm not mistaken, his first catch of the preseason. And it was actually on a nice ball from Martinez, who was trying to escape the rush. backpedaling, set himself and threw to Miller toward the right sideline, and Miller showed off his speed. The dude can run. He just hasn't had a lot of opportunities to show it. Donovan Edwards 2 for 11, Ruckert 2 for 8, Stone Smart 1 for 4, Kuntz 1 for 3. No other catches. Nwangwu actually 3 catches for -1 yard. He had a drop too, if I'm not mistaken, early on in the game. So offensively, through the air, not a ton going on, but it's kind of what happens in these final preseason games. You're shuttling out everybody, and you have pass attempts to like 15 different guys. So things don't go as smoothly as you would like, but that's just kind of the way it is. On defense, Malachi Moore, probably defensive player of the game. Had himself a tackle for loss, had himself an interception on specials. He had a big hit as a gunner. He did a nice job there. Zaire Barnes led the way with 7 total tackles, 5 solo. Barnes, of course, had a big hit that made the rounds a little bit. I think NFL.com tweeted it out. Just made a really nice read on a run play up the middle, snuck between the guard he snuck between the guard and the center, got in the backfield, and took the running back off his feet and put him on his back. Mario Goodrich, Quantez Stiggers, nothing phenomenal there. Goodrich actually gave up a couple of plays, if I'm not mistaken. Dean Clark hoping to not bounce back, but hoping to follow up with a big performance after last week's game. He was solid, nothing spectacular. I believe he was flagged at one point too, Dean Clark, but still a versatile guy who I really like. Peyton Page made a little bit of noise. He had a sack, couple of tackles, and Michael Fletcher, who I mentioned before the game as a guy, sort of probably the guy who's gotten the least love, who I was most interested in watching, Michael Fletcher. He did have a pass batted at the line, a couple tackles against the run game. I feel like he should be a practice squad guy. Jarius Monroe had himself another nice game. Even last week he had a couple of flags, or at least one flag, and I just felt like those were like bang bang plays. Like he's right there, and it's literally sort of like a hair difference between making the play and not. So I know obviously it's a bad thing when you're getting flagged, but it's not like it's a sloppy, egregious, thoughtless, just dumb flag. He just tried to make a play, and it was he got there a millisecond too soon, which is going to happen sometimes. So I mean, basically what I'm saying, I like the way Monroe's played, and I wouldn't mind seeing him make the roster. Fatorma Mulball, his most extensive action of the preseason. Saw him get in on a couple of tackles. Also saw him get held by an offensive lineman when it looked like he got some penetration. He was going to get a little push, maybe a chance to get to the quarterback, and Mulba got held. Braden McGregor had himself a decent game. He had a nice series where he also he got held. He had a play where he won to the inside defender, or he won to the inside, pressured the quarterback. Then a little bit later on, he literally got horse collared, blew right past the tackle. The tackle had to reach over and grab him by the horse collar and stop him from getting to the quarterback. And then a little later in the game, he did get to the quarterback and got himself a sack. So that was the Jets, I believe, had 2 on the day with Page and McGregor. Just took a look, and that is in fact the case. Leonard Taylor, again, no big numbers, but he flashed a few times. It's, as we say all the time, right? It's not just the box score that tells you how well a guy plays. Guys can impact plays. You can get pressures. You can be disruptive against the pass. You can be a difference maker against the run. Just forcing backs to change direction and extend plays, give defenders more time to get there, stuff like that. Saw a little bit of that out of Leonard Taylor today. Jackson Sermon had a near interception. It was, I guess, you'd chalk it up as a diving PBU, where he almost came away with a pick. That would have been nice, especially if you look at the coverage Sermon had last week late in the game that led to the interception by Clark. Derek Nottie, who I'd said a while back, I wasn't sure would make the roster. You're talking, he's a 6-7 year guy playing in the fourth quarter of a game. I don't think Nottie makes it. And I think that's it in terms of guys who are worth mentioning after the game. Aaron Glenn seemed I liked that he kind of wanted to make guys play, he was using his timeouts late in the game, trying to win the football game. I thought at one point, I'm thinking, let me just try the 60. You're giving the kid a shot to make a big time kick. Earlier in the day, that who was it? I saw somebody nailed a 64-yarder, the Cowboys kicker. That dude's good from like 90. How early would you draft that guy? If you were drafting an NFL team tomorrow, How early would you draft a guy who you look at and think I can count on that guy to hit from 60 regularly? That's pretty valuable asset. But anyway, Jets didn't let Mevis kick it. I think, or didn't let him kick it in that spot. He did have one attempt that he missed from 55. Nick Folk was good from 41. Austin McNamara, once again, 49 yards per punt. I forget what he was last week, but I know week 1 he was 49 yards per punt. Tonight, 49 yards per punt. 5 for 246. So the Jets obviously have their punter. I would imagine Nick Folk is the kicker. And the 53-man roster, it will start trickling through. I mean, I'm sure there will be some cuts that won't be official, but we'll hear about early. And then by Tuesday, we should know who is who and who's where and who's staying and who's going. So again, 1917 lost today. Edwards gets them within 2, and then they basically after Donovan Edwards scored the touchdown to get the Jets within 2, he was stuffed at the goal line to keep the score at 1917. Jets came up short on a late drive with Adrian Martinez, who again, I think Adrian Martinez, me personally, if it's my call, I'm keeping Cook as my QB3. We'll see what the Jets do. I know there's a lot of fans who prefer Martinez. I'm not one of them. But that'll wrap this one up. I hope the audio was fine. Just keeping it short. We'll go longer tomorrow, and we'll probably we will be live the day the 53-man roster comes out to talk about that a little bit. But that's going to wrap this one up. Just wanted to quickly touch on who did what, who played well. Have a good one, Jets fans.